let's get started. Hello and welcome to today's webinar with Tealium, Turning Data into Action, Orchestrating AI-Ready Intelligence for Enterprise Growth. I'm Marinda Hillier and I'm VP of Marketing here at Tealium, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. I'm really excited about this webinar today because the topic really feels so relevant on a personal level. We're all living through this great change, not only in the way we do business, but also in the way we live. And AI is really at the heart of that transformation. So today we are focused on getting AI ready for the enterprise. So let's jump straight in. We've got some fantastic speakers for you here today. Ben Gott is practice lead of marketing solutions at Merkle. Welcome, Ben. Victor Bueno is MarTech Competence Director at BIP. Welcome, Victor. And our own Ulises Sarmiento is VP of Solution Engineering here at Tealium. So before we get started, just the usual housekeeping items. The webinar will last for 45 minutes and will be recorded. We will send that recording to you via email tomorrow, also be available on our website. And as always, we really want to hear your questions. This is live, so please use the Q&A to submit your questions to us. And if there's any questions we can't answer, we will definitely get back to you with that. So on that, let's get started. Ben, you're up first. Let's take it away.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So I'll give a little bit of context to the enterprise that I work for and myself on this first slide, just so you get a sense of where I'm coming from here. So Merkle is a global customer experience data and analytics services business, and our job is to provide strategic oversight in those areas. So how we do more with data, how we improve customer experience from a strategic perspective, but also then the actual program delivery. How can we help brands to put that into practice? Very specifically, my team these days is focused on how we modernize data acquisition and how we turn that data acquisition and into intelligence generation, how we do that efficiently, effectively, obviously in the quote unquote age of AI. So that's the background to what I'm going to talk about, and I'll give you a whistle-stop tour of this concept of powering intelligence. So just to set the scene as to why we think this is important, we've done research, so globally several hundred CMOs to understand CMO priorities, to sort of take a bit of a temperature on how CMOs are feeling about customer experience. And the data that you're seeing on the screen here is also backed up by a PwC study. What this means basically is that we think for brands to be really successful, experience is key. So this is the feedback we're getting from the market. So customer experience that goes beyond a nice website or a nice app. This is something where a customer can identify they're having a holistically orchestrated, smooth, frictionless, on occasion delightful experience with a business. And it's important because we all need to charge for our services, our products, and being able to charge a price premium in the current climate is extremely important. If we also combine that with increased customer retention or customer loyalty, we can see a kind of multiplier effect. So the biggest, best brands, the organizations that are going to succeed will do so based on their ability to harness a good customer experience. And we don't have the data on this slide, but we've also found that the biggest gap to that is what we call the intelligence gap. It's the ability, we'll see some data as we go through, it's the ability to turn data about customers, market, product into intelligence and into a business strategy. So I promise you, this is by far the wordiest slide. I left the words in because I think this is a really succinct list of all the things that we're battling with. And I always like to do a kind of joint therapy session at the start of any presentation. So hopefully some of these things chime with you, and then hopefully we'll unpack some of the ways of getting around that. I think the key thing I would say is that over the last decade or 2 decades, we've increasingly found it easy, in inverted commas, to find data, acquire data. Data is available, it's out there, it's being generated. Now, I put inverted commas around the easy because we all know that there are technical people challenges, etc. but turning that data into something that the business can use for strategic direction is still extremely hard. And I'll pick a couple that I think just right in the middle of these boxes that I think affect every client that we've ever worked with, and on occasion our own organization to give away some trade secrets. So technical debt. I've not met a company that believes they have all of the technical capability that they need to do the job that they want to do, or to be as forward-facing and innovative as they want. And then I think externally we've seen demand for highly skilled engineering people, increasingly people with AI applicable skills, just rising and rising, and so that external cost is high. Why do we think intelligence is important? Well, we talk about the five forces of intelligence. So firstly, it gives your organization an actionable understanding of where the organization is, what your customers want, what your product or services do for that customer, and an actual understanding as to how to improve. It gives a deeper awareness beyond some of those things around the market, around your competitors, etc. I think every client that we work with is desperate for strategic clarity, and this is because there is more change than ever in many industries. You know, disruption across industries with new entrants, brands creating new go-to-markets. They need clarity on what the next 5 years looks like. I just got a message saying my connection is unstable. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yes, all good,
Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah.
Now he's stuck.
Yep. Okay. All good. Um, Predictive capability in the age of AI, prediction becomes a reality. And then finally, we're all looking to have a competitive edge. If you put these things together, you have a competitive edge over your rivals.
We still have you, Ben, just checking.
Yes, I'm afraid I am having a bit of a glitch, and it's very slow to update the slide for me. Unprecedented internet issues happening right now. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can, and we can see the
Okay.
the three circles. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Thank you. So the good news, and I left you a bit of a cliffhanger there. The good news is you only really need to get three things right to benefit from this, to be, as we would say, powered by intelligence. So the three things that you need to get right. The first one is an organizational challenge or opportunity. And I'll unpack each of these in turn over the next three slides. The second one is a people challenge. And the third one is my favorite, and perhaps most relevant to today's conversation, is all about a technological challenge or opportunity, how we solve the technology side of things. So firstly, instilling a culture of intelligence, as I said, it's an organizational challenge. Every client we work with, that's the third time I've used this phrase, every client we work with is trying to be data-driven. We'd argue that data-driven is actually a little bit old hat now, and being intelligence-led, slight semantic shift is more important. Spoiler alert, most people don't believe that they have reached that yet. I think the single most common issue when we dig into this with our clients as to why people aren't as data driven as they want to be is the organizational challenge, aligning the organization around a culture of intelligence. So we believe that this has to come from the top. So you need C-suite buy-in, ideally from CEO or equivalent, around using data and intelligence to make decisions. KPIs aligned through the organization, a partnership model which is very clear with your internal and external partners. And then we advocate for a continuous improvement model. So we use the Japanese engineering philosophy Kaizen, which is about small incremental improvements frequently. This is really about bringing your intelligence team, your intelligence people into the room with marketing and finance, aligning on objectives and marching in the same direction. Of course, to do that, you need to have an intelligence team. And I think what I'd like to say clearly here is that there are two parts to this. One is about mapping your future skill set. In the age of AI, what are the skills that you need? What are the mindsets that you need? And I hope to go deeper on that later. And how do these people all know each other? Now, I don't think you have to force a physical org construct where, for example, you pull all of your analysts out of product teams and into the center. I think you can have analysts or researchers or engineers sitting close to other teams and other sources like product, for example. But you need a really good matrix structure or some kind of hub and spoke model that means that anyone that works on visualization, data engineering, data science, etc., they know each other, they have lunch together, they have regular cadences, they know what each other's skill sets are, and they are meeting frequently to align around the core topics. Underrated skill, data storytelling. Little tidbit there. You can have all the smart brains in the room, but you also need someone that can turn that into a story that the business will consume. And then finally, and I'll set this up as a bit of a launch pad for our next speaker, you can get all of the people stuff right, but if your data collection at the bottom isn't flowing into intelligence generation at the top of this stack, it isn't going to work. We all underutilize our marketing technology. We all have inefficiencies in the way that we gather and process data. So very briefly, we need to be thinking about an identity layer, data collection using really strong, really flexible tool sets. We need to be finding a way to blend that with, for example, new technologies, LLMs, etc., but also voice of customer, quote unquote research. We need to give our analytics teams a workbench that is increasingly AI enabled so that models can be automated. It has observability built in, QA, governance, etc. And we need to be thinking about conversational self-serve for our marketers, CX people, and also our C-suite. So, ideal scenario, our CFO has access to this intelligence in a way that they want and need it and can access insights intelligence as they walk into an important meeting. Finally, I think the old world of BI and visualization needs a bit of a refresh, and we now talk about agentic BI. Increasingly, agents will be suggesting the right visualizations, will be generating intelligence for us, and will be distributing it. So we started to think about this as a distribution layer and a distribution challenge, rather than old model, create some dashboards, they get a bit dusty on the shelf, everyone questions whether the data is accurate or not. Another bit of good news, if some of this stuff, if you're spotting problems in your own organization, you're thinking, oh my God, I'm so far behind the curve, this is terrible. We also have reason to believe that most organizations are not advanced in this yet. And when you're thinking about AI adoption, I think that's particularly keen. So lots of desire, but generally speaking, businesses are in an early stage in mapping their business strategy to an AI strategy. And I order those in very specifically. You need the business strategy first and the AI strategy second. We've seen people try to do it the other way around. So finally, from me, whilst you may not be behind yet, I would caution and create some urgency here. The reason this is particularly important, and the reason that we have to accelerate the generation of intelligence versus the last 2 decades, is that the machines really are coming. I think we see experience automation taking off in a massive way, and we'll hear more of that later. And we need that data to be ready, to be synthesized, to be something that the machines can understand, and to be real time, because the automation that we're seeing coming will happen in real time increasingly. Real time personalization will be a real characteristic of the next decade. And with that, I'll say thank you and hope for some good questions later.
Great. Thank you, Ben. So I'm going to take over. So my name is Ulises Sarmiento. I'm VP Solution Consulting in Tealium, already with Tealium since 9 years. So I can tell you I have seen the market moving around and turning around, and I think this is great. And today I'm going to talk about, well, what Ben introduced, the technology and that we love data layers. Well, by the way, look at my T-shirt. I love data layers. This is a statement that Tealium has done, and I think it's great. So I think important is that every company today has access to the same marketing platforms, to the same AI models, the same target customers, and the same research and data. And I think this is quite important to understand. But there's only one thing that you can have by yourself and that no one else has, and this is your customer data. And not just the data, also the behavioral signals, the intent, consent, and also the context that they are giving you on the edge, and when they act in the moment. And this is where Tealium can help you to unlock your data. We hear a lot about the data being used in a phrase like data is the new oil. But data only becomes strategic when it's clean, when it's trusted, and above all, when it's actionable. Actionable means that the reality means that the data doesn't become actionable by default. It doesn't automatically is there that you can use it. It takes effort to ensure that it's high quality, consistent, and accessible. Without investments in data quality, integrity, availability, data will always stay siloed or will stay will stale or will be incomplete, and therefore it's not useful to think that it's there. Um, you need to make the data actionable, and that means it's collected and governed at the point of capturing it. So on the point where it's happening, where the data is going to be created, you need to make sure that it's going to be enriched with the context and it will be routed to the right systems at the right moment to use it. And whether that's your website for personalization, your call center for acting with context and talk to your customer at the call center with the context, your advertising stack or your AI model, that's where the real value is unlocked. Actionable when and where it matters, even though it might be obvious, but it's not easy at all. And the challenges that we have, or that you also have, is marketing wants to personalize at scale. Compliance needs visibility and control of the data. Um, IT is focused on the governance, the cost, and the security of the data. And if we think about AI, and Ben was already talking about AI agents and so on, AI teams, they need fast, clean, contextual data to build with. And each of those goals are valid for every team, but when the teams try to achieve them, they are isolated and they often work cross purposes. Centralization is supposed to solve that, but in reality, in reality, it also can create lots of friction, and we all know that. Trying to centralize all teams can create friction. Nevertheless, I think modern businesses need more than just a data lake or a marketing automation solution. What they really need is a data foundation with a data layer. And this data layer needs to help you for the data orchestration and streaming to power personalized experiences without any trade-offs. Otherwise, you are going to be stuck with generic campaigns with no personalization or one size fits all engagement, and that will miss the mark 100%. Data connection and flexibility needs to be there to respond efficiently to grow internal or external demands. If your data layer cannot flex to new tools, to new teams, or especially in the AI area to new models, then you will be on risk to be outplaced or exposed to those risks. And finally, data governance and interoperability to make data AI ready, as I said. So everything is around AI nowadays. And it's not just for today, but it's also for the next evolution. So it's going so fast. And this because if your data isn't ready for AI, your AI will be stuck in experimentation and will never get into production. And this is what we often see, that we have really good ideas with AI, but the data is the problem. And the foundation that can build that is Tealium. And Tealium built that foundation. So as data moved beyond the page into customer journeys, the data layer evolved again. Well, we all remember the times where the data layer was coming from the website and it was just the description of the website and bringing data into analytics. Nowadays, it's much more and it's beyond that. The data layer is becoming dynamic, it's becoming connected, and it needs to become also consent aware. It's powered by the identity keys and real-time integrations with at the warehouses that we see nowadays, with lots of consent systems and with behavioral data. Bringing that together, it means consent and privacy. Where does it happen? Zero-party data, what customers share intentionally, why it matters now, historical behavior from the data clouds or other systems, and real-time behaviors. This is what makes your data layer flexible and ready for those times that we are in. The new purpose of the data layer, as I was talking before, is to describe your customer, what they are doing in the moment, and what is the action that will apply to that person. So businesses start to heavily focus and to engage with the customers in the right type of experience, on the right time, in the right moment. And what you see here on that slide is the customer that, well, is someone that is engaging with our assets, with our brands. The moment the customer is in, so where, what is the behavior, and what is the status of the customer, and then a reaction. What is the reaction that needs to happen? And I think once you have done that, if you are getting in that world, then you start to think about a customer 360 with a connected customer view. Finally, it's all about conversation versus engagement experiences. And we need both, and I will explain what it means. So if we talk about customer engagements, the traditional channels in the customer engagements are email, SMS, social, display, CRM, where we have historical data, where we use the historical data and communicate what happened in the past over those channels. And this is important to have that capabilities. But you always also need to have the customer conversation, and the customer conversation happen on a channel that is in real time. With the AI agents, they need real-time data. Call center, they need to have the information at the time they are calling. Mobile apps, when you're using the app, you need to have the message ready for interacting with the customer, or the website, or the point of sale. So really important that now the data layer has the critical role to ensure that the data will be there in the moment that matters. And you always need to remember that. And finally, when we think about AI agents in an agentic world, we need to have data that is describing the moment again and giving the real-time data to the agents. So every attribute can be updated instantly. When I talk about attribute, it means what the customer is doing, reflecting context, predictions, but also agentic decisions. And instead of just describing what happened, an AI data layer describes what is happening and helps to figure out what should happen next. So it gives you the possibility to act. And that enables three things: in-moment analysis by AI agents, real-time adjustments to content, offers, and experiences, so mainly real-time personalization, and continuous feedback loops between systems, AI, and human logic. And I think the data layer enrichments brings that data back to the edge, but it uses it. And we have the technology, we from Tealium, we have the technologies that help you to bring the data back to the edge. And the edge is the last mile from the customer communication or engagement under 50 milliseconds. I promise this is my last slide. So it's about who can benefit from it. And if we go into it, we see the benefits for marketing, enabling all the real-time and in-the-moment experiences, driving ROAS, and well, helping to respond quickly without involving other IT resources. If we think about IT and data, they are always concerned about consent, privacy, and governance. With the data layer, if you own the data layer, then they can be benefiting from that. And that will reduce headaches and cost for filling the single source of truth. And finally, benefits for AI and analytics teams is to ensure the data completeness, improve AI outputs, and adapt quickly to the shifts in AI. We all know this is super fast, and to be flexible, you need to have the data layer that gives you the possibility, the data layer, the data foundation that gives you the possibilities. And everyone wins when the data is connected, actionable, and used responsibly. With that, hopefully it was some insights for you. I will pass it over to to Victor.
Thank you, Oli. Hi, everyone. I'm Victor Bueno. I work in BIP Group for more than 10 years, and I'm currently leading our practice of MarTech solutions. BIP is a global consulting group oriented into digital transformation, cloud and AI, and MarTech, of course, adoption, supporting clients to transform their business challenges and goals into value with the implementation of tech and data solutions. In my pitch, I'll focus a bit on how AI can be deployed in different use cases. We'll be telling two use cases to you. Let's start from a recap of points Ben and Ulysses said before. So we are entering in a new era in which agentic AI is like the word of the moment, you know? And we pass from an approach in which we were using chatbots with rule-based approach to AI assistants, to these AI agents that also the customers already are aware of that. And they expect more engaging and one-to-one experiences. They don't want what Ulysses said before, that like one size fits all, but they expect brands know what they are looking for. So next slide, please. It's not all about agents, because when thinking about how AI can help on these engaging experiences, there are several AI solutions that we saw in the last years that is still are relevant and important to deliver this experience. The first one, for example, the clustering models that can help you to, based on a golden record of a CDP, create different clusters and segments to activate customers in multiple channels. The next one, the next best recommendation models to understand what kind of product proposed and what channel activated in this proposal. Then we have the assistants that provide insights about products, but can also help you to create the generative search bar, avoiding the case in which the customer write a wrong word and don't find anything. So it's important to enrich this part, reaching the agentic AI in which customers are not always a person interacting with brands, but we expect that all, in the near future, customers will be trusting in a personal agent that interact with an agent of the brand. You know? So how brands can prepare themselves to engage with this, let's say, more aware and AI-based customer. In this first use case, next slide, please. We see a case of an online travel agency based in Italy that offers several tours to their customers. Like they cover a wide range of destinations in different parts of the world, and putting together all the combinations that they can have, for example, destination, number of travelers, room type, etc., they can reach 4 million different offers. So the challenge for them is how to move from a product-centric approach to a customer-centric. The personalized experience based on MarTech approach is its core here, no? But it's important to also understand, as also been said before, how these will be integrated with the already ready architecture of the company, and how these can be integrated with business process, because the company still needs to have a lean process that enables business to deploy their different use cases. We cannot expect an approach in which IT is delivering always new solutions and business is always waiting to deploy new experiences. No? So to do this, next slide. The customer wanted an experience that in all the customer journey, they wanted them to be able to deliver a personalized experience since the moment in which you don't know yet the customer, like it's still a unknown user that accesses the website or the app, and you have to get data and start to change slight points to deliver this more engaging experience. No? The more customer goes on the funnel, the more data you have. The data layer is richer, so you can deliver more engaging experiences during all the journey, aiming at increase the conversions, but also increase the customer lifetime value with more retention, new purchases, etc. So to do this, the first thing we did with the client was to next slide, to design an approach in a multi-level AI experience. So the client already have, as many of the participants in this webinar already had like a data platform that wanted to create the AI model. So we set up the AI desk to deliver this kind of AI solutions and to be always exchanging data with Tealium CDP. So Tealium was getting data in real time, feeding these models, and the models were like enriching the golden record to activate new experiences. The last layer is the engine of personalization that receives insights from the AI desk about the products and the CDP about the customers to deliver this new experience. In the next slide, we see some type of use cases we implemented with Tealium. So the first one is like contextual experience, in which, based on what customer is doing on the digital property, we are delivering personalization. The next one, and the one that the layer is way more important, is that to use data from different channels, data of purchase done offline, of call center, to deliver a wider personalization, because I know better this customer. The third one was to recommend different products. So I know, for example, that Ulysses likes to travel in a couple, or Victor, for example, with a family. So I can suggest different experiences based on these past transactions, but also in what I'm seeing in the website in real time. The last one was to propose the discount based on the customer behavior in terms of a conversion funnel. The second use case is oriented to a bank. We all know that the approach of banking services is changing a lot. So banks are not managing just the physical proposition, but they want to move customers to a mobile-centric, mobile first approach. But to move this means also to change the way the processes are managed, you know. So the first one goal of them was to leverage on the AI agents to create an AI banking concierge. We have several data being running when we purchase different products to go to a restaurant, and also when we start to invest in terms of profiling. You know, the idea of the bank was to leverage on this data and to feed this agent to understand to provide suggestions about banking services and investment opportunities. Another point is that the banks are not anymore just like a company, but they have an ecosystem. They have their partners. We are always engaging with different companies that still need leverage on their services. So the idea of to boost the loyalty and to engage with a partner network is important for this bank. In the last part is the offer recommendation, proposing the different services to the users. So here we see an example of a journey that they wanted to enable. So customer starts in a classical way, accessing the private area of the bank and checking different services that they want to their project. And then the bank start to do outbound, engaging, as Ulysses said before, in their traditional channels with social media, email, etc., to bring back the customer and propose different, for example, credit opportunities based on the risk of the user. The user can interact with an agent, but the transaction is still being done on a physical presence. So it's important for the bank also, of course, with GDPR consent and privacy consent, to share data with these partners in order to deliver this lean experience. Another slide, please, the next one. Here we see an example of how the bank can become the bank. The phone can become the bank of the customer, because inside the smartphone you can deliver the next best offer, proposing new credit based on some checks banks are already doing. You can boost loyalty and propositions with this kind of carousels and cards to the customer. So a customer is used to check the balance. So putting on already in evidence this part. You can deliver real-time personalization, suggesting extra services the bank or the network of loyalty can offer. And you'll have the banking concierge that can help you to clarify services of the banks and an investment. So here we closed these two use cases, and I hope you liked the presentation, and let's discuss a bit about the context.
Thank you so much, Victor, and thank you, Uli and Ben as well, for the amazing presentations. We're almost at time, so although I would love to walk through all of the Q&A, I do want to be conscious of everyone's valuable time. So I'm going to go straight to, I guess, one question for everyone, which we can cover in the time we have left. Which is one piece of actionable advice. Ben noted that only 9% of tech leaders have an AI vision statement, which I think is really, really impactful. So many are really starting from scratch. And for those in the audience today, what is that single first step that listeners should take in their next, let's say, 90 days to move from that data aspiration to AI ready intelligence? So, one single first step, some actionable advice. Ben, can we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I said the word mindset very deliberately earlier because I think it gets passed over a little bit. AI is a technological innovation. find the person in your organization that has the mindset for harnessing these things, that wants to innovate, that is curious. Curiosity cannot be underplayed. And then give them some support and some space, and you'll see magic things come. They don't have to be that senior necessarily. It's the mindset that's super important.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that in our own organization, actually. And Victor, what's your one piece of advice to get started towards this AI journey?
I would reinforce the importance to integrate the data layer Ulysse was saying, was stating in his speech, with the cloud architecture, because we know several companies have already a really valuable data assets. But once you create this data layer and are able to distribute this in real time to different channels, I think this can unlock several different experiences for the customers.
Great. Thank you so much, Victor. And Ulysse, what is your one piece of actionable advice here? You're on mute, Uli.
As usual, right? I think the most important thing is to lay the groundwork for the intelligence in AI. And this is by, as I said, by unifying your data into a real-time, into trusted foundation. The recommendation would be, if you are on that journey, within the next 90 days, if I take that, focus on turning data from a byproduct into an active asset. And once you have done that, every AI-powered decision will be much better in the future.
Great. Thank you so much, Ulysse. So we are on time, everyone. So thank you so much. Thank you to everyone for joining. A huge thank you to Ben, Victor, and Ulysse for great content and insights. So thanks again for taking the time. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks.
Thank
you, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.